So before I show you easy SEO win number 1, I actually need to show you easy SEO win number 0. And this is what I call optimizing the bare bones essentials. And what that means is you need to optimize your website loading speed and your mobile experience, and you need to make sure that you have an SSL certificate installed. These 3 things are foundational for your SEO performance. So the easiest way to optimize your site loading speed is just to go to PageSpeed Insights, go to Pingdom, and go to GT Metrics, and you can benchmark your current site loading speed and then use these tools and the recommendations that they give to improve your site loading speed. Now the good news is any actions you take to improve your site loading speed will also usually improve your mobile experience as well. But if you're on WordPress, you can really streamline this whole process just by using a lightweight theme like GeneratePress, and then you combine that with the AMP plugin, and then you make your website 100% AMP friendly. You will get extremely high scores on Google's PageSpeed Insights and the Lighthouse tool. And once again, if you're on WordPress, if you want to make sure that your SSL certificate is working correctly, I recommend using Simple SSL. And the key here is just to make sure that all of your non-secure URLs are redirecting to the secured versions. So once again, here's how you optimize for the bare bones essentials. Number 1, optimize your website loading speed. Try to get that below 3 seconds. Number 2, optimize your mobile experience. And then number 3, make sure you have an SSL certificate installed and make sure that it's 301 redirecting all the non-secure URLs to the secured URLs. So now let's move on to easy SEO win number 1, which is to optimize for EAT, which stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So any industry that falls under YMYL, which stands for your money or your life, these are the industries that Google has put under the microscope. So if you're in one of these industries, which is going to be, in the health industry or the finance or any industry where the content could negatively impact a person's life, you need to make sure that that content is reliable, accurate, and created by a subject matter expert, or at least reviewed by a subject matter expert. So let me show you an example. So this example is for the keto diet, which I just ran through Ahrefs, and I wanted to do one that was really competitive and one that was actually in a your money or your life industry. So we're gonna go and look at a few of these results here. So the first result is Healthline, this is the website that I recommend everyone tries to model because they're really doing it the right way. So when we look at it, you'll see right away, we know that this content was created by a subject matter expert because they put it above the fold, they make it apparent. So when we click on this, it's going to take us to the nutrition team, and then we'll see all the people who write their content, all people who are qualified experts, PhD, they have all these different qualifications. Some of them link out to their social profiles. So this is the type of thing that I recommend you do in your vertical. And also the other part that's really cool is not only is it written by a subject matter expert, but it's actually reviewed by another subject matter expert just to make sure that this information is accurate. So if you just get those things right, get a nice author bio that's above the fold. You can of course be at the bottom. Get some individual author pages and make sure that your content is being written or at least fact checked by a subject matter expert. So then after that, just make sure you link out to really high quality sources and make sure you always cite any website where you've actually gathered information from. Okay, so now let's move on to easy SEO win number 2, which is to optimize for low-hanging fruits. So just go into Ahrefs and enter your target domain, and then what you're going to do is you're actually going to go to organic keywords. And then from here, you're going to need to make decisions based on how strong your website is. So in this case, Healthline is incredibly powerful. So I'm not really going to set a KD metric because I know that they can probably improve their performance for these individual keywords. But if I was working with a brand new website or a website that had lower authority, then we probably want to set this to something like 10. And what this is going to do is going to show us all the keywords that are actually much lower competition, which then means if they're lower competition, they'll be easier to push up with just some base level optimization and maybe some link acquisition. So ultimately, let's say we wanted to improve our search position for this keyword here, loofah. And in most cases, you don't really want to be targeting head keywords like this because they're very difficult to rank for. And also the search intent behind head keywords is much more ambiguous and difficult to understand. But in this case, Healthline is so powerful that they could probably push their position up to number, in the top 3 at least. So we'll go and look at the page itself. And we'll go ahead and just see how often they mention loofah, and it looks like they mention it pretty well. They actually mention it really well. It's all over the place. And in fact, maybe it's a little over optimized given how long the actual piece of content is. So one thing I would probably try to see is, the overall density seems a little high. So maybe I could mess around either decreasing the density by increasing the word count, or just decreasing the density without even touching the word count, just changing these to some sort of synonyms or something that's relevant. So one thing you can do is actually we'll just go and look inside Ahrefs, and we'll look for some synonyms that could probably maybe improve this a little bit more. But ultimately, one thing you can do to actually drive more traffic to the page itself isn't just to obviously, you can mess around with density, but one thing you can do is you can look at this question section here and use this as the basis for adding more sections to the content, which then could allow you to decrease the overall density. So usually in most cases, if a page isn't ranking where it needs to be, it's sitting around number 6, I'm gonna mess around with the density, or I'm gonna increase the word count and see if that's what pushes it up. I'm gonna add new sections to it. So if we look at, how to grow, well, maybe not how to grow, but let's look at how to use, we'll see if they have that in here, and they don't. So that would be a subsection that we would want to use, because it doesn't look like they have actually talked about that at all. So this would be a really good section to add. They talk about everything else, but they don't talk about how to actually use a loofah, which might be a weird topic overall, but it would be a good section to add. So ultimately what I'm looking for are new sections to add to push this page up further by making it deeper and more comprehensive than the competitors. And one thing some people might tell you to do is to take this keyword and put it into Surfer. But the problem is when you're ranking on the first page already, you don't want to just emulate the results that are already ranking around you. You want to beat the results that are ranking around you. So you need to figure out a way to differentiate your content and make your content either deeper or better so that you can actually outperform them. So once you've hit the first page, Surfer isn't really going to be super effective for you. That's when the real creativity comes out. You need to really think about how you're going to beat them. And the best way is just look at the data, look at what already exists. Ahrefs is telling you this is what people are searching. So make sure you have all these sections in your content. If you don't, make sure you do it. And it looks like there's a million examples here that we could go after. Some of these have different intents, but still we would be looking about how to make this content much deeper than it is. And then if you've done everything you can, this content has been maxed out as far as the level of depth and as far as the overall optimization. A few things I would consider is maybe adding some other types of media. So we could add video content here to improve this content even further, to upgrade it even more. Or I would think about how I'm going to acquire more links to this content. That's the second thing. And then lastly, the third thing, which I want to be talking about soon, but is we would want to look at these terms that say having same terms, which these are just terms that are relevant to the primary topic, and see, are there any new pieces of content that we can create that can support this piece of content? So this content is generally about loofah sponges, it's a general piece of content about this topic, but maybe it might be worth creating a piece of content around loofah plants, because that isn't competing with this piece of content, it's actually supporting the general topic of loofah, and we're building topical relevance, and the more topical relevance we can build around that primary topic, the better it will perform across the board. So now let's move on to easy SEO win number 3, which is to use the authority transfer technique. So then just go into Ahrefs, and all you need to do is actually just go into the best by links section. And then from here, all you need to do is export this list of URLs, and these are now going to be your internal linking targets. And the reason is because all of these URLs are the most powerful URLs on the website. So if you're trying to improve the performance of any individual page, you'd want to put internal links on these pages, because these are the pages that would drive a lot of authority and a lot of link equity to that target page. So of course the pages need to be relevant to whatever you're trying to internally link to, but these should always be the targets that you prioritize over other internal link targets. Now, If you are building topical relevance, then it's okay to be linking between different pages that don't have a ton of authority. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're thinking about how you're going to start building better internal links and trying to get more internal link coverage, you should always prioritize pages that have existing backlinks, because these will give you the greatest boost overall. And I can't express this enough. Just by adding internal links to some of these super high authority pages, you can see instant improvements in your rankings without even needing links. And this makes sense because these pages have links, so you're really just distributing a portion of that link equity to the page on your website. Now, you may not be getting all the strength because of the links that are directly hitting this URL, but you're at least getting a high percentage of it to those other pages. So highly recommend you use the authority transfer technique. Look for high authority pages and add internal links to other pages. And now let's move on to easy SEO win number 4, which is to leverage featured snippet jacking. So to give you an example, let's go ahead and look at this keyword, which is how to get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube. And this is going to be kind of cool because I'm going to show you an example of when search volume is not very accurate at all. So we look at this only gets about 20 searches per month, apparently, according to Ahrefs. Now, whether that is true or not, the only way we actually know if this is true or not is to actually rank for it and see the performance of that page. And I can tell you more often than not, sometimes you have to follow your gut about keywords. And in this case, I definitely followed my gut about it, and I knew that there were definitely more people searching this than what was showing here. So we went ahead and tried to target this keyword, and at the time, it had a featured snippet here. And it's saying that it has a featured snippet showing YouTube. But normally what will happen is when we see a featured snippet, we take the exact word count that's showing for that featured snippet, and then we create the same exact word count on our website, and we put it at the top of the content typically. Now in this case, you'll see that when we go and look at the performance, so when you look up how to get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube, you'll find Gotcha SEO, at least where I'm searching from. Maybe where you're searching from, it's not the same. But right now, typically we are here. There are some other ones where we're also ranking, but in this example, if I was trying to steal this featured snippet from myself, I would just look at exactly the way this is structured here in this featured snippet, and I would create it exactly the same way on my content. Obviously make it different. It would need to have a different angle, but overall the general structure of this particular featured snippet is what I would try to emulate on my website. So that would come down to the code, the type of heading tags that we're using, and even the amount of line items here. So what's really cool is, we see this only has 20 search volume and it's super easy to rank for. Well, it was easy to rank for, but the volume is way off. So when we look at this in the past 3 months, you'll see that this has been a really great page for driving clicks in Google Search Console. So according to Ahrefs, this only gets 20 searches a month. But according to Google Search Console, in the last 28 days, we've gotten 132,000 impressions on our page. And this is just insanity. And over nearly 4,000 clicks in only 28 days. So you see there's a huge discrepancy here. So that's why you can't always trust search volume, because there is so much untapped potential in any industry, even a competitive industry like the SEO industry or the YouTube SEO industry. There's so much untapped potential. And also, you need to get out of the mindset of just ranking for one exact keyword phrase, because when you look at this, I am ranking well for that one exact keyword phrase, and it is driving a lot of traffic and clicks, but it's actually all of the other variations of that keyword that's driving the majority of the clicks for this page. So the main takeaway here is that we need to try to steal these featured snippets because it works really well. And people say, oh, well, you don't want to rank in featured snippets. Well, that's kind of true because the CTR is much lower, only around 3%. And you compare that to any other result, it'd be higher. But still, 3% is still pretty high, and you can tell, it still drives a lot of traffic. So what you want to do, let's say, you wanted to steal this featured snippet from me, which, I hope you don't do, but if we go and look at it, and actually we'll go back, open this up, and I just hurt my engagement there probably, but we'll go ahead and look and we'll see that, and we'll see what Google is pulling. So right here, it looks like Google is pulling this particular line here, and this isn't even a heading tag at all. This is actually just a straight paragraph tag. So you never know. Sometimes the way Google shows these featured snippets always different, and they're always picking them in different ways. So the best thing to do is just model what Google is showing. So in this case, it looks like just a paragraph. So I would create a paragraph myself, and then let's look at what type of heading we're using here. So we are using a H3 tag, which is fascinating. So we'll go ahead and see what the H2 tag is in this particular scenario. And it looks like the only H2 tag we have here is what happens when you get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube, which is in the form of a question. So, you know, the difficult thing about featured snippets is you can model this perfectly and model this to the exact extent, but you also need to model the stuff that's around it too. So it's probably the overall structure of this page that has led to me getting the featured snippet. So you do want to try to model the overall structure. But like I said, the goal isn't to copy the content. The goal is just to model the structure on a code level. So, and a heading level and a paragraph level. So that's all you need to do. You just need to model what's here, do it down to the T, the exact words, the exact structure. And typically you can steal it if you have enough authority. And the other thing you can do if you don't have enough authority is you can build more topical relevance. So you'll see that if we look at this page here, we've built a lot of topical relevance from other pages too. So how long does it take to get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube is another interesting keyword that we have here. So this page actually supports this primary page. And once again, I believe we stole the featured snippet for this one too. So if we go and look, we are the featured snippet here. So actually for this one, what it used to be, I believe vidIQ used to be ranking for this one. But what we did is we took the same exact word count that they had here. So you can just go maybe into Hemingway editor here, throw it in, and then we see that it has 52 words. So if I was trying to rank for this, I would just write my own featured snippet that was 52 words, and then I would put it right here at the top because I want Google to give me this result, and I want to give them the information as fast as possible. And one thing I noticed originally with the competitor that was ranking for this featured snippet, they had the snippet all the way down and at the bottom of their page, and instead we wanted to put it right at the top so we could obviously prioritize that information for Google so it could take it and put it into the search results. So the main takeaway here is to just model what Google is showing. It's showing you exactly what it wants. So just model it and try to steal that featured snippet. And if your website doesn't have a ton of authority, then you can eventually steal it once you get more authority by building more links and by building more topical relevance. Okay, so now let's move on to easy SEO win number 5, which is to hack freshness. So believe it or not, this tip is very, very simple. All that you need to do is go to any page on your website, and if it is a time-dependent piece of content, you should always add the year or even the month if you want to get more granular, and that will actually give you so much more traffic for people that are searching stuff that's in the current year. So just in the last 12 months alone, keywords where I've added the year to it, so 2020, or pages where I've added 2020, you can see that it's actually driven over 3,000 clicks and over 86,000 impressions just from having 2020 in the title or somewhere on the page. So you look at this, it's pretty insane to think about that all of this content, it's pretty insane to think about that all these keywords I probably wouldn't be ranking for if I just didn't have 2020. So you wouldn't believe how much traffic people are missing out on by not making their content time dependent. So the one thing that's important is when you do decide to make your content time dependent and you want to add 2020 or 2021 or whatever, you need to first make the content better, and then once you've made the content better, you update it a little bit. Just update the publish date and make sure you put the year in the title and somewhere in the copy too. So we'll go and look at this keyword, and you'll see that I actually don't even have the featured snippet for this keyword, but because I have 2020 in it, I'm doing substantially better. So if we remove 2020, you'll see that the results change dramatically. Now, of course, I'm still ranking pretty well here for SEO Audit Checklist, but still, it's a different set of results when you have 2020 in there. It changes the whole dynamic. So you should always use years if you can, or some sort of time-dependent metric to get more traffic to your pages. And the thing is, I wouldn't probably be ranking, I wouldn't be getting as much traffic to this page if I didn't have 2020 in it. So all you need to really do is add it to your title tag and then add it probably to the H1 tag on the page too. That's my recommendation. You don't have to get that extreme. You can of course test it, but this is literally the easiest way to drive more traffic to any page. Okay, so now let's move on to easy SEO win number 6, which is to build more topical relevance. So now this chart that you're looking at is everything that contains YouTube on my website. And I decided a few months ago, or at least in the middle of this year, that I wanted to go after more YouTube related search terms. So what I decided to do, I was going to create more YouTube clusters. And I wasn't just going to create one super strong piece of YouTube content. I wanted to create many pieces of content that all support each other and build a ton of topical relevance. And to say that it has worked would be an understatement. It's worked really, really well. And what I've done, just to show you, is we'll look at these pages and I've just targeted keywords that are hyper relevant to each other without competing against each other. That's the most important part. You do not want the pages to be competing against each other for the same keywords. You want every page to have its own intent, targeting its own different keywords. So when we look at this, how to get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube. This one is how to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So these are totally different intents. Very similar topic, but different intent. Then we look at this one, which is how long does it take to get 4,000 watch hours on YouTube? You can see that these pages are all radically different. And then this one is best video format for YouTube, YouTube end screen templates. And then this one's, these down here are actually iMovie, vidIQ. These are actually about tools that are used for video creation or YouTube. So you can see that they're still topically relevant to these primary topics. So my next part of my process would probably to create a long form piece of content about YouTube SEO, but it will be much easier for me to rank for YouTube SEO now because I have all of these pieces of content that would support that primary topic. So this is the power of content clustering. So whenever you want to go after a general topic, you should look for all of the opportunities that support that primary topic. And you can either create that mother asset right away, targeting, let's say YouTube SEO, you create that right away and then create the supporting assets, or you can go in reverse like I have. I created all the supporting pieces of content first because they're lower competition and I wanted to dominate for those and show Google that I'm an expert on this particular topic. And they'll be able to measure that based on how users are interacting with the content. So if they're going to these pages and they're consuming the content, they're staying long dwell times, they're sharing it, they're bookmarking it, all those good user metrics, it's telling Google that my website is an authority on this topic. And therefore, when I go to target the more competitive phrases, I have a higher probability of performing better for them. So as I mentioned before, all you need to do is you just need to go right into Ahrefs and put whatever your primary topic is in here. And I went a little more specific YouTube SEO, but oftentimes I'll usually just do YouTube like this, and then I'll go to phrase match, and then I'll go to make sure that it includes, and actually phrase match does include YouTube. So what I would do is I'd actually just go to a max of 10. And then I'd start to scan through these results to see anything that's relevant to what I'm doing. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that just isn't relevant here, but ultimately I'm looking for the stuff that's gonna be relevant to someone who is trying to build a YouTube channel. So that's really the process that I go through. It is certainly a manual process, but it works really well when you start to identify these really good keywords that will support your primary topic. And now the final easy SEO win, which is easy SEO win number 7, is to use the Warren Buffett technique. So in short, the Warren Buffett technique means that you're going to find websites that are relevant in your industry, and then you're going to try to acquire those websites and merge them with your website. So typically the best situation would be that you'd identify a tool that's in your industry, and then you could take that tool, you could buy it from the owner, and then put that tool on your website, and then you can redirect their website to the tool that's now hosted on your website. And the reason for doing this is because it can massively, massively build your link profile and make your website 100 times stronger at a literal rapid rate. Pretty much the fastest way you can acquire a ton of great backlinks is just to use the Warren Buffett method by consolidating other websites with yours. And of course, you don't want to go overboard, but you want to find websites that are hyper relevant in your industry and consolidate them to your website. So the example I wanted to show you is neilpatel.com because he's done it exceptionally well. So if you look at his link profile over time, it was growing quite well, 2014 to 2015. It's growing pretty fast. Like, he has definitely great growth. But then you'll see he's got these big spikes. You know, he went from 8,000, 9,000 to 22,000 referring domains. So he doubled his referring domains in just a short amount of time. And then he had, similar growth here, still pretty good. And then he had another explosive growth here. And he went from, 32,000 referring domains to almost 100,000 referring domains in only 2 years. So you're just not going to be able to compete with someone like this when they're building links at this rate and this level. So you can see it just has made his website so incredibly powerful. And as a result, his traffic corresponds in the same way. So there is a direct correlation between link growth and traffic growth here. So you'll see, and especially when you plot it on where these link, acquisitions happened, it's almost identical to where the traffic spiked up. So, anyone saying that links don't work is just being silly at this point. So what I did is I went to his link profile and used the redirect drop-down option here on Ahrefs. And what you can see is he's had some really, really great acquisitions. The first is Kissmetrics, which he actually used to own and operate. But he basically took this company that I'm not sure if it failed or they just decided to shut it down. I'm not sure what happened with it. But if you look at how strong Kissmetrics was, it had a DR of 89. So he redirected a DR 89 website to his website. So you can imagine that can help you quite a bit when you get 6,000 new referring domains. And then he actually went out and acquired Ubersuggest, which was a great SEO tool. And I have no idea how much he paid for it, but for the link profile that he got for it, he probably got it for a pretty good deal because he got not only a DR75, but he also got a DR74 website linking to his website or redirecting to his website. And then once again, he also acquired Marketing Pilgrim, which I don't know the relationship with that website, but he got another DR73 website redirecting to his. So as you can tell, this is a very, very effective strategy, especially when you can acquire websites that are hyper relevant. If we go and look at Kissmetrics' profile, link profile, you'll see that their links are the absolute best links that he could get for neilpatel.com. They're extremely relevant. And if we go and look, it would take a very long time to get all of these links that Kissmetrics acquired. So, and if we were to do the math on this, this link profile alone that Kissmetrics has would be worth several hundreds of thousands of dollars if you were to try to acquire these links on your own. So, it absolutely streamlines your website authority at a rapid rate. And no one really ever talks about this. And I've been talking about it since 2014 about, I used to call it the merger technique. Now I'm calling it the Warren Buffett technique because I've kind of changed my methodology. But regardless, acquiring really good websites with really great link profiles that are relevant to yours, and then finding a way to 301 redirect those to your site in a natural way is the best thing you can do. And in my opinion, the best thing you can do is try to find tools in your industry, because this redirect here from Ubersuggest to Neil Patel, which now actually has a tool, this is a natural redirect. This will not get you penalized because he's literally just taken a tool that already existed and put it on his website, and now he's hosting the tool. So there's nothing wrong with this redirect. There's nothing questionable about it. But when you start to have redirects that are just going to like a blog section, that can get a little sketchy if you start to do it at a high scale. But on a lower scale like this, you're doing a few acquisitions here and there, it's not going to be problematic. And finally, the bonus tip that I wanted to share with you, which is by far the most important thing you can do in 2021 to protect your website from Google penalties, and not only that, to improve your SEO performance, is you need to focus on building your brand. So this chart I'm showing here is from Gotch SEO, and what I did is I just put Gotch in the query so you can see I've had over 15,000 clicks and 62,000 impressions just for queries that are directly related to my brand. So, and you look at this, you look at the CTR for these queries, 24% CTR. It's 10 times, 30 times higher than a traditional keyword, because these are people that are actually interested in my brand. These are people who either know what I do or people that are going to probably end up being customers. So this is really the absolute best type of traffic that you can get. When you look at this, look at all of these different keywords that are related to my brand. We have Gotcha SEO variation, Nathan Gotch. You get the point. All of these are because I've built a brand and I've built trust in my industry. So by posting videos on YouTube or posting on social media, no matter what, I'm hoping with my intention of posting on YouTube or posting on social media is to drive branded search to Google. And that's one thing a lot of people don't talk about. One of the most important reasons for even being on social media or for creating content outside of just content that you're trying to rank on Google is you can actually drive more branded searches, which then makes your website more trustworthy, which as a result makes it easier for you to rank for your keywords that you're actually going after. So if I was competing against someone who was just only doing SEO, they were only targeting keywords, and they weren't trying to build a brand outside of just building SEO content on their website, it'd be very difficult for them to beat me because I have so much trust going to my website, so much branded searches going to my website. And Google does consider that as 100% a fact. So in 2021, you should absolutely make it a priority to build your brand, do what you can, because it will absolutely not only help you grow your business. Building your brand is a good thing. Outside of SEO, you should be diversifying outside of SEO. That's the obvious point. Most importantly, it actually helps your SEO to build your brand. All right, so I hope you got value from this free SEO training. And if you want to get even better SEO results in 2021, then please book a call below to see how my team can help you. It's 100% free, and I promise there won't be some sort of annoying sales pitch. Just want to see how we can help you get even better SEO results this year. Thank you so much for watching, and click the button below to secure your free SEO strategy session. And spots are very limited, so please act now. We'll talk soon.